We learn sooner or later that there's a thing called death. That's almost an ugly word, isn't it? It's something we don't want to think about. Well, it's instructive to actually think that we don't even know what it is that dies. We can see the body dies, but we're not absolutely sure that that thing called a soul, the thing we might call a spirit, exists. And if it does exist, does it go on? And if it goes on, where does it go? When someone dies, you have this feeling of many feelings. One is a feeling of grief if you're close to them, and one is a feeling of mystery that they disappeared. That is accentuated when you see their body, and their body is obviously not them, and it hardly even looks like them. And you you can't help but wonder, where did they go? Where are they now? Now that's an interesting question. Some people say they're right here. They didn't go anywhere. They're just not in that vessel anymore. And some people say they go to a faraway place called heaven, and they hardly hear us anymore. They are so separated from us, like there's a wall between us now, and they can't see through the wall, and neither can we, and we've lost touch completely. And yet, there are people who disagree with that and say they're right here. They may not always be listening to you or paying attention, but it's like they're in the next room. They hear you. They know you're living your life in your body. But here's the thing about living in a body. With our five senses, this is how we apprehend reality. And it becomes so all engrossing, we can't even imagine that it's limited. We think this is all there is, this is all you get. And yet, the fact of death makes us reassess that if we're willing. We have to realize that just because we have five senses and they are calibrated to register physical reality, which quantum physics even says is not as real as we think it is, we assume we know what is real and what is not. And we assume that our physical senses are telling us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And yet, there probably is a barrier to a much wider consciousness of reality than our five physical senses can apprehend. Now, we don't know that for sure, but there are people who report a reality beyond the one that we can see and smell and feel and hear. So I think it's worth considering that we don't know everything, and that death is there to show us we don't actually live in the broadest possible reality. We have selected a very narrow spectrum of events that have symbolic meaning to us on an emotional level, and this is how we learn. It's worth considering that that's what's going on here. And if we can embrace even a part of that idea, maybe we will be less subject to grief when someone dies, or fear when our own death approaches, or even a more accurate way of assessing what our life has meant as we go into the last chapter of our life on earth. I think it's worth thinking about that.